What's going on, you guys? My name's Ty Knots, and welcome to Top 5 Unknowns, 5 mysterious files that remain unsolved. Number 5. In the state of Montana, it's perfectly legal to shoot wolves if they get too close to humans or livestock. So when a rancher in Denton saw that a four-legged creature was hovering a little bit too close to his cattle, he took the shot. When he went to retrieve the animal's body, he realized something extremely strange. This was no wolf. In fact, he had no idea what it was, aside from appearing to be a dog of some sort. He then called in a group of wildlife experts to examine the animal, where it was confirmed that it was not a wolf. Though, much like the rancher, investigators couldn't identify the dog either. Its canine teeth were too short to have been a wolf, its feet too small, its claws too large, and ears too upright and thick. All experts could come up with was that this was some sort of previously undiscovered canine. From here, viewers of the creature began to proclaim their wild theories about what they believed this creature to be, the most common being that it was the legendary Dogman. Though, according to the public record, there's only ever been one sighting of this mythological creature in the state of Montana, coming from a man who was quoted as saying, "I sat up in my bed frightened, but I didn't feel the need to yell for my parents or anything. It just kind of stared at me. While looking at it, I saw that it had pointed ears with tufts of fur like a lynx, and a muzzle like a German shepherd." The animal's DNA was soon sent off for testing, with most experts concluding opinions being that it was likely some sort of wolf-dog hybrid, though they still can't say that for sure, due to the strange size of the canine teeth. Either way, the world may simply never know. Number 4. Jean Spangler was a popular dancer and actress who'd starred in multiple large films back in the late 1940s, though her newfound career came to an end when she went missing in October of 1949. By the time Jean was 21, she'd married and given birth to a daughter, though the marriage quickly dissolved and the couple split up by 1946 when the girl was just 2 years old. After the divorce, Jean's life proceeded as usual, that is, until around 5 p.m. on October 7th, 1949. Jean was last seen at her ex-sister-in-law's home that evening, and when she left, she informed her family that she'd be meeting with her ex-husband to discuss custody arrangements of their child, as well as to request a child support payment that was late. After this meetup, she planned to head over to a local television studio to record a portion of a film she'd been working on, though after she left the sister-in-law's home, she was never seen or heard from again. When police began to investigate Jean's disappearance, they soon realized numerous inconsistencies with the sister-in-law's story. The first being that there were no movies that were in production in the area, so Jean couldn't have been headed to a studio. In fact, all of the studios in that area were closed on October 7th. Additionally, Jean's ex-husband said that he had no plans of meeting up with Jean on the night of her disappearance, and claimed to have no knowledge of a late child support payment either. Days later, police stumbled upon one of the only clues pertaining to Jean's disappearance. They found her purse near a local park, with a note inside that read, "Can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way while mother is away." According to some of Jean's friends, at the time of her disappearance, Jean was approximately 3 months pregnant. Her friends revealed that she planned on having an abortion, a procedure that was extremely frowned upon at the time and virtually unheard of. This information led police to believe that Dr. Scott, who was mentioned in the note, may have been a black market surgeon who specialized in legal abortions, though this is just a theory. To this day, neither Jean nor Dr. Scott have ever been found. Some believe that during her abortion, something may have gone horribly wrong, causing her to pass away while being operated on. Because of this, Dr. Scott may have simply hidden or disposed of Jean's body so as to avoid being caught. But again, this is just a theory. Let us know what you guys think may have happened to Jean in the comments. Number 3. In the mid-1890s, a lighthouse was built on an island known simply as Aileen Moor, or Big Island. The lighthouse was then named after a local bishop, who later became a saint, with the house being called the Flannan Lighthouse. Saint Flannan soon built a chapel on the island, and it was eventually opened for operation, with many shepherds using the area as a grazing area for their sheep, though they typically refused to stay the night, claiming that the island gave them a strange, unsettling feeling. The lighthouse had soon become the home of a series of crewmen, whose duty it was to keep the lighthouse in working order so that passing boats would know where to dock. Though by December of 1900, multiple reports came in that the lighthouse was not functioning. No one was able to do anything about this immediately, but within just a few weeks, 2 men by the names of James Harvey and Joseph Moore were commissioned to deliver supplies to the crew members, as well as check in on them and determine why the lighthouse wasn't functioning properly. Though upon their arrival, they found that none of the crew members met them at the dock. In fact, it appeared as though no one was on the island at all. From this point on, it's documented that Moore felt a heavy sense of foreboding while climbing the steps of the house. The two then entered and found that the crew had left half-eaten food out in the kitchen, and a couple of table chairs had been overturned. Even stranger though is that the clock on the wall had been stopped as well. A search was then conducted and not a single one of the men were ever found anywhere on the island. The men then found the crew's logbook, which read, December 12th, gale north by northwest. Sea lashed to fury, never seen such a storm. Waves very high and tearing at the lighthouse. Everything shipshape, James Ducat irritable. December 13th, storm continued through night. Winds shifted west by north. Ducat got quiet. MacArthur is praying. Later on that day, another report was stated saying, noon, gray daylight. Me, Ducat, and MacArthur prayed. The final update read, December 15th, 1 p.m., storm ended, sea calm. God is over all. This entry was the last that anyone ever heard from the men, and to this day no one has any idea where they may have gone or what happened to them. The story sparked many to believe that the crew was simply washed away by an awful storm. But if so, why is there a log on December 15th saying that the storm subsided? No one is truly sure, and honestly, we may never know. Number 2. Marco Antonio Sanchez is a Mexican teen who went missing back in January of 2018. Marco, who was 17 at the time, was seen taking photos in a northwestern Mexico City, though during this time he was arrested by Mexican police who alleged that he stole the phone that he was using, though this was untrue. Regardless, he was then taken into police custody and heavily interrogated. Arguably, the worst part of all this is that his parents were never once informed where Marco was, or why he was ever arrested. Marcos was, from his parents' perspective, completely missing for the next 5 days. They were finally reunited, but one question remained unanswered. Where had Marco been? Because according to police, Marco was in their custody for only approximately 24 hours. After this, he was released and then sent home. In fact, officials released CCTV footage to prove this. So where had Marco been? No one has any idea, and Marco isn't willing to give any answers. According to the most recent reports available, Marco has yet to make a statement to the media or even his parents about where he'd been for the following 4 days. But at just 17 years old, it's difficult to imagine where he could have gone, without some sort of parental consent or assistance. We simply don't know. Number 1. Newly identified DNA evidence has led to the arrest of a 55-year-old man who allegedly took the life of a young couple in Washington over 30 years ago. The man, named William Talbott, was arrested in May of 2018 as he was leaving his job at a trucking company in Seattle. His arrest was then announced to the public soon after, with authorities revealing the names of 2 young individuals who were attacked, 18-year-old Tanya Van Coilenberg and her 20-year-old boyfriend Jay Cook. According to police, this man was never on any of the lists they had of possible suspects. In fact, they state that if it hadn't been for the newly developed DNA technology, they wouldn't have likely ever found the man, revealing that they used a newly released type of DNA testing involving a scan of one's genealogy. According to witnesses and public reports, in December of 1987, a man was walking down an isolated road late in the evening when he discovered the body of Tanya. He noted that she'd been obviously sexually assaulted, bound with zip ties, then shot in the head. Jay's body was then found the following day, though it was some 75 miles away from Tanya's. At the time of the incident, police were able to obtain DNA from an abandoned van which they believed to have been involved, but the DNA came back with no match, leaving the case virtually untouched for the next 30 years. Though just recently, the DNA was uploaded to a genealogy database that tied it to 2 of Talbott's relatives, with investigators then using this information to tie the case to Talbott directly, make an arrest, and confirm the DNA sample with DNA that had been found on a cup he'd been drinking from. The man is suspected to be sent to prison for the remainder of his life, with no possibility of parole. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.